Hey guys, what's up? It's Zyflin here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Nova Umbral build. Now, I was actually really surprised that I hadn't made this one earlier because an Umbral build on Nova is actually one of the builds that actually makes sense to do because, like, it eliminates the need to have more Power Strength mods because Umbral Intensify allows you to hit the cap of 145% and above Power Strength just by using it compared or combined with Umbral Vitality, right? So I don't know why I didn't make this one sooner. I've had this build done for ages. I was just really surprised at myself that I hadn't made this one yet. So yeah, here it is. This is my Umbral Nova build. Of course, you're not just limited to this build. This build actually gives you a lot of freedom because you can use Umbral Intensify plus Umbral Vitality to get a good Power Strength boost. But this is the build that I would recommend to most players who are looking to play a safer Nova, right? Like, this is the build that you would go for if you want to slow down enemies, have a decent amount of Power Strength, and then also make use of all of Nova's other abilities as well, like her first ability, her Wormhole, Antimatter Drop, etc. But this here mainly focuses on M Prime, right? Slowing those enemies down and making them explode. You neglect range because you don't really need it too much, but the abilities that do need range, such as your Wormhole, still really useful. Like, you're still extremely mobile with Nova, and that's further emphasized with this mobilize mod right here as well. So with this build, the main focus is Umbral Intensify, Umbral Vitality for that 155% Power Strength. You only need 145% for Nova to get that max slow in M Prime, but because we go over that, yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. You're hitting it with one mod, which is awesome. And then you stack the rest into your duration, right? So we have 306% duration, Prank Continuity, Constitution, Narrow-Minded, Augur Message for your duration, Streamline for efficiency, which is nice, Prime Flow so we can have a good reserve of energy so we can use all of our abilities, and then any Arcane that you like, Cruiser Projection on here to strip away enemy armor, and then you have your Exila slot on here where you can run pretty much any Dash Polarity Exila slot that doesn't take up too much capacity. Mobilize is the one that I like using because, you know, it just speeds you up and it gets things done quicker. But that being said, like, if you want to use something different, like maybe a Coaction Drift, for example, if you lower the level on it a little bit to make your aura a little bit more effective, that's totally fine as well. There's a lot of choices, and it's just kind of down to you to kind of decide for yourself what you really want. So this is my go-to Nova build, and because, like, you have this one slot up here, which you can pretty much do anything you want with, it's entirely down to you. Like, yeah, I didn't need Pyro Drift, so I didn't throw it in there, so... But you can throw whatever you like in there to maybe up the range a little bit or whatever. Like, you can use Cunning Drift, you can use Endurance Drift, anything you like can go on the slot, implying you don't max it out too high because you don't have a lot of capacity up here, right? So there's that, and then I have another build on here which focuses more on movement. I'm not going to be demonstrating this one in today's video, but I thought I might as well show it anyway. So it's a 110% power strength build, plus a lot of range, a decent amount of efficiency, and a decent amount of duration. This is the build that I would use going around the Orvalis or the Plains of Eidolon, because it's just one of those mobility get-around builds, right? You can even use it in, like, speedrunning missions, such as maybe Luya spy missions, for example. You can use it in there as well. This is just a build that a viewer requested on stream, like with the Umbral mod, so I thought I would put it together and show it in this video as well, just because, why not, right? So, War mod doesn't matter too much. You have your Umbral mods, Umbral Vitality, Umbral Intensify, Overextended Stretch, and Augur Reach for your range, Augur Message for duration, Prank Continuity for duration, Streamline for efficiency, and then Power Drift for a little bit more power strength on there as well. Of course, you're not hitting your 145% cap with this one, but it's still a pretty good build because you do still slow them by a decent amount. They're still slowed by 40%, which that's better than 0, right? So I have a guy inviting me down there. He's inviting me to the Desert Tomb for some reason, but let's go ahead and take a look at this build right here and use it in the likes of a defense mission, because that's where I recommend using Nova, in the likes of a void defense mission where you're trying to survive for a long time, and maybe you're playing with a group who doesn't necessarily understand the game as well as you do, right? Nova is one of those frames that lets you, like, play with a group of players who aren't necessarily, like, 110% as experienced as you are. It just makes the game a lot easier for them, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the stats of our Nova too. So we have 18 antimatter particles, so you get 5% damage reduction per antimatter orb, so 18 times by 5. Damage of 232.5. We have a radius of our antimatter drop, 15, that doesn't scale with your power range. Orb damage of 310. Damage absorption, that means that the damage that goes into it is multiplied by 8. Then we have our duration on our wormholes, 48 seconds, which is insane. You can't increase the number of portals or the uses with your power shrink, which is unfortunate, but it does still cover 17 meters, which is really, really good. So just to give you an idea of how far 17 meters is, if we stand in this little circle, and then we go ahead and do that. Not too far, but still like good enough. If I was to jump in the air and then chain portals together, I can still like cover a pretty decent distance, right? Because I have the likes of Xeneric and stuff to get my energy back. I can just spam those over and over and over again as much as I like to traverse the map pretty efficiently, right? So that actually only costs 50 free energy. That might seem like a lot, but like because of your high energy capacity that you have with Nova, like we go ahead and we spam energy pads, we have like 700 plus energy, which I mean, if you have that stored up using Xeneric or using energy pads, then that's a lot of casts off all of your abilities that you have stored up, right? So, last but not least, we have our Molecular Prime, and this has a radius of 96.8 meters, a slow of 75%, explosion damage of 1.2k, explosion radius of 3.4, duration of 18 seconds, that's the initial expanding of it, and then you have the effect duration of 91 seconds. So those enemies are going to be slowed by 75% for up to 92 seconds, which is absolutely crazy. The common misconception is that you have to mod for power range on M Prime. It's not. It's power duration, which is going to extend how far your M Prime actually reaches out for, right? So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you see that the initial 18 seconds is down there. And then once that runs out, then you have your what's it called? The amount of time that enemies stay affected by the initial M Prime cast, right? So what you would do is you would, start up the wave, and then whenever it hits about 2 seconds or 1 second, you would hit your M Prime, and it's going to expand out, and all the enemies that spawn in are going to be affected by it, right? So this guy up there, he's affected by it, and now he's slowed by 75%, and whenever you kill him, he explodes. So it's like a domino effect. If you were to kill enemies beside one another, then they would explode and all deal damage to one another, which is really, really cool. So she just makes the game extremely easy, right? Because they take extra damage as well, I'm pretty sure, whenever they're affected by this. Not too sure how much, but they just die and then they explode. Once the first wave of enemies is dead, just go ahead and cast it again. And then there you go. Like, you're doing the exact same thing again. They explode near one another, they kill one another, all that cool stuff. Not to mention you can affect them with other crowd control effects, like maybe a mag pulls them over. It's going to take longer for them to get up off the ground because they're slowed by M Prime, right? So this ability combos really, really well with other CC abilities in the game, like maybe Nyx's Chaos, Loki's Disarm, etc. It just makes the game insanely easy, and it's one of those frames that I recommend you pick up if you play with newer players a lot. You've got that damage reduction in your 1, you have the AoE damage dealing in your 2, so you hit out your 2, shoot into it a little bit, and then direct it near the enemies that you want to kill, and then they will explode. And then you have your third ability for mobility, so you can, get 2 objectives before near players and kind of just do them for them if they need the help, or you can go and you can save them or whatever. And then you have your 4th ability, which is just there for, killing every single enemy and slowing them down and making the game extremely easy, on top of being like extremely recastable. So she's just one of those frames that makes this game way easier than it should be, and like she's really easy to play as well. Like, it's not like it takes a bunch of work to get Nova or get all of her abilities off and make it so that the game is drastically easier for both you and the person that you're playing with, right? So what I recommend doing if you are playing Nova, bring a shotgun, because you're going to be able to charge up your antimatter drop a lot faster with this, like in a few shots, maybe 2 or 4 shots from the Vicor Heck, 2 shots from the Tigris Prime, whatever. Any shotgun that you have, if you use that to store up the damage in your antimatter drop, it's going to deal way more damage because you're just going to have it like charged up faster and then deal more damage to all surrounding enemies. And then other than that, that is pretty much it. So bring a shotgun, bring a fully automatic secondary to pop nullifier bubbles, and there you go. You are basically prepared to carry any new player through any type of content in this game. Sorties, defense missions, survival missions, anything. you name it, Nova is going to really excel at it and just make this game really, really easy. So yeah, that is my Nova Umbral builds. Another thing that I guess you could do with it is if you really wanted to, you could use the peculiar mods, right? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Bloom. There you go. You can fit it in there without sacrificing anything really, apart from your mobility and mobilize. So yeah, you can put flyers on bad guys on critical hit weapons. So I don't know, go test that out versus the orbs or whatever. And yeah, enjoy playing Nova, enjoy using the Umbral build. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.